All right. Just made a little Instagram reel there, talking about women and nature of women and how they will kind of protect, lash out, or act on fear, or protect um, their masculine figures when the masculine figure is in danger, being attacked or something. When it experiences, when she sees a vulnerability or weakness in his armor, chink in his armor, she will step in there. So I first noticed this, or become aware of this, back during my enlightenment. When I first connected to God, um, here's one thing I want to say. I don't have hardly any interest in fighting and debating with women. If a woman steps up to argue or fight or debate with me, I'm going to cut that shit very short, really quick. Unless she really has a very rational, logical, masculine side. I've never run into a woman like this. Okay, that would be like putting a man and a woman in the boxing ring together. Um, and here's the thing: some women would be able to whip a lot of fucking men, but when you get to the fucking top of the top, the best of the best, a man is going to dominate a woman in the ring, just like he dominates women with weightlifting and stuff. Um, And the only way that that could even possibly be the other way around is if a woman corrupted her own femininity and just fully engaged into being masculine. She got rid of all her femininity. I don't know why y'all want to do that. Some of you are trying to do that just to prove a point, and you're corrupting yourselves. But that's okay. If that's what you want to do. Go for it, honey. Um, I'm going to tell you right now. I don't care how physically, when you get down to the foundation of life, women will not overpower men, mentally or physically. Okay, it's our inherent nature to be strong mentally and physically. That's who we are. That is the masculine side of life. Okay. Um, a woman can pretend to be a man and be masculine and everything, but it's not the real deal, you know. I mean, I was trying to think of something to compare that to. So, I don't know, out in nature you have like lookalikes, you have mimics and stuff. Or with clothing and apparel and everything. So you have the real deal, the real shit that's just absolute good quality stuff. It's probably going to cost some damn money, okay? And then you have other shit that will try to mimic it, cheaper brands and stuff that try to mimic these other name brand high quality stuff. And while it may look good or be close or something, it's not the real fucking deal. Ladies, you're not the real deal. Okay? Men are. um, I believe it's important for a woman to have a healthy masculine side. I absolutely believe that, to have balance. But I also believe it's important for women to know that they are not men. And it's important for men to know that they are not women. If you're a man, you have the DNA genetics of a man, and you tell yourself you're a woman, you're fucking confused. You're goddamn out of whack there. Okay, your mind and your heart and your body. Your body is not in sync and harmony with your mind and your spirit. So that's division amongst yourself. You're literally dividing your body and your DNA, your code, your DNA code and everything. Your chromosomes say that you're a man, but you're fucking telling yourself that you're a woman. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's like trying to say 2 plus 2 is 6. It doesn't add up, man. It doesn't work. All right. Um, But anyways, what I wanted to get into here was the inherent nature of man and woman and what I've noticed. So I noticed during my enlightenment, I developed an extremely powerful masculine side of myself. And I quit being afraid of any other man around me. Why? Because I know how to fight with my at that time I had completely harmonized my mind, my body, all my abilities. And where I was coming from in life, I was coming from a time back when I was a child, I had to fight physically. And I wasn't really afraid of anybody back then for lots of reasons. I don't want to break all that stuff down because I could talk for easily an hour here about all this if I wanted to break it down. Um, so what happened was I challenged my father's authority. And the problem wasn't to me challenging his authority, it was me challenging his authority at his own home with his wife there, my stepmother. Um, and I was more powerful than he was, physically and spiritually. He's an alcoholic, he's addicted, he's disconnected from God. He is not yet connected to God, discovered God. His true potential and power in life, maybe he has, and he's just way beyond me, or I don't know. I don't think so. See, somebody who's connected to God, they know their power. They're very powerful people, and he was not that. To me, he's not really godly. All right, I love him to death. He is godly, but in a small, different kind of way. A small God, or I don't know how to explain it. He's not like biblical godly. All right, I believe each individual is a god of some sort or another. He's disconnected with himself though. He has corruption and stuff, addictions inside of him. So until he gets rid of that shit, he will never be connected to his full godly self. And take control of his life, own his power and control in his entire life. So I have done that. I've done that at that time. I kicked all my addictions and everything. And I found God inside myself. I found my full power and potential, and I used it. And I went down there and I told him I was sick of his shit. I wanted my father back, my real father, my God, the godly side of him, his potential and his mind and his heart, because his mind and heart had never been there for me throughout my life growing up because of his alcoholism. And I challenged him, and I went down there and got in his face and I grabbed his shirt and yelled at him. I told him, I said, I want my damn father back. And he didn't know what the hell to do. He wanted me to leave and go home. I said, no, I'm not leaving. And I sat there. My stepmother was not around at the time. My ex, she was down there with us at the time as well. So I got pissed off, went out and crushed a bunch of fucking beer cans he had laying out in the yard. I mean, a massive pile of fucking cans. Got all them picked up and cleaned up while he was sitting around sulking and didn't know what the fuck to do, lost and confused. You see, a man of God don't get lost and confused. Or if he does, he doesn't. You ain't going to know it. Okay, he's going to have his power and confidence and fearlessness. When you act lost and confused, you're fearful of something. You don't know what to do, what choice to make, which way to go. So eventually, my stepmother, I got all the cans and everything cleaned up, and then my stepmother and my ex, they'd come back from a walk they was on, and I'm sitting out. I sit outside on the porch and I listen to him. He goes in there. He had some beer already. This was in the morning. He had already was buzzed. But he goes in there in the kitchen and was crying to my stepmother like he was a child. He was like, just telling her what happened. Whoa, he come up and he said, I thought he was going to give me a hug, and he grabbed me and yelled at me. And it's like he was crying to her because he didn't know what the hell to do. He didn't know what to do. He couldn't handle the situation. Then they both come out there on the porch and was sitting there, both of them together were sitting there talking to each other in front of me, kind of being quiet like, but enough to where I could hear it. And I'm just sitting there listening to them. Like they're looking at each other like I'm not there or something, because they felt safe with each other there. But obviously not entirely safe, or they would have confidently said what they wanted to say. They would have said it to me, but they didn't. So he said something, told her something, and I said, no, that's bullshit. I spoke up and stuck my energy in amongst them. Okay? And we ended up getting an argument. My stepmother, she stepped in and started going at me. Well, because she was a woman. She knew I wasn't going to do nothing to her. Well, I can't say she. I didn't do anything to her. I'm not going to say I wouldn't do anything to a woman. That all depends on what she's doing to me. See, my stepmother, she started getting in my face. And she got right up in my face, and I stood there for a second, and she wanted to stay there. So what I do, I lifted my hand and just gently, just like this, and put it on her shoulder, and she smacked my hand down and said, "Don't touch me." I said, "Okay." Well, I didn't say nothing, actually. I just, in my mind, I was like, Then she got right back up in my face and continued on with her shit. And then I reached up and I done the same thing, except I didn't. I wasn't as gentle, but I didn't shove her. I just put my hand on her shoulder and eased her back. I just eased her back, and she done the same thing. Smacked my hand down. Said, "Don't touch me," and right back up in my face she got again. And this time I pushed her a little bit. Now, if she tells you the story, she'll tell you I just flat out fucking shoved her. I hurt her shoulder and this and that. Well, let me tell you something. I've listened to her exaggerate the fuck out of shit all my life. Like my dad'll smack her in the shoulder or something. Not hard. My dad is not a fucking abusive man. But you know how she'll tell the story, or he just hauled off and knocked the shit out of me. I'm like, okay, no, he didn't. I seen it. That's bullshit. She's crying out for attention. Whatever. I don't give a shit. Whatever. So I put my hand on her. I pushed her back. I was like, get out of my damn face, I didn't say it, but I showed it. And she about to come back in again. And by that time I was getting pissed off. So I just grabbed a hold of her and hugged her. I gave her a damn hug and grabbed a hold of her. And she didn't like that. I told her, I said, I love you. And she didn't like that shit. You see, when I pulled her in and embraced her, then she shoved me away. Then she wanted to get away from me. As I was holding on to her and hugging her, I see Dad, because my goddamn senses, in this situation, this was a very high intense situation. My senses were I was very, very alert and aware of what was going on. And I see him grabbing a shotgun. And, grabs a shotgun and grabs the barrel of it and starts choking up on it like a baseball bat. Well, I let go of her and walk out. By this time we'd worked our way. Me and her was arguing just inside the door from the porch. So I let go of her and I walked straight towards my dad with holding the gun like a baseball bat. And I put my damn arm up and he didn't even swing it. You want to know why? Because he was still scared and confused. He didn't know what the fuck to do. He hesitated. And if he'd have swung the motherfucker, he might have got something on me. I don't know. But he didn't. And I walked out there and fucking, I don't know. I got my arm up there and fucking got rid of the gun. We threw the gun down, and then I grabbed a hold of him and we wrestled around a little bit. I don't know. I ended up pushing him over a little charcoal grill that was on the porch, and he ended up on the fucking ground, and I hit him in the damn head. Okay, and I done that on purpose, completely intentionally. I did not. He likes to believe that I lost control of myself down there, but I never lost control of myself one fucking bit. I was never in more control of myself than I was at that point. Because I'd done exactly what I wanted to do. I had clear vision and a clear sense of the situation and what was happening. And that's what allowed me to have control of it. And I busted him in the head. And then his own dog comes up there, and he had a hoodie on. He didn't believe me when I told him this shit neither. His head was kind of down. And his dog comes up and grabs his damn hoodie right there at his neck. And then when I saw that, I just let go and backed off. And the dog kind of backed off there too. I told him about that, and he's like, no, he did. That didn't happen. I was like, it was right in front of me. Yeah, I saw it. Okay. So that was one dramatic fucking bullshit situation that occurred between me and my father because I was breaking away from him, his addictions, his old fucking ways and habits, and breaking away to start my own fucking life. So a lot of that was me defending my ex because she was with me and I was trying to protect her and defend her. Okay, that's what I was supposed to do. That was a bad situation. That's a whole nother fucking story and situation there. Um, I'm not going to get into that because that's a whole fucking story all into itself. But you can understand how I was there protecting her and asserting my dominance and masculine energy on my father in that situation, and my father and my stepmother did not like that at all. What he done after that? He got up, walked inside, and I think part of what broke all that up actually was my ex. I think she fucking hollered or something. But he got up, went inside, and called the law. Okay. And then I don't remember exactly what all happened after that. I remember a lot of what happened, but I mean, that was um, the gist of the story there. I waited around for the law. They didn't show up. I waited around for like an hour, 2 hours or something. And then I finally was like, well, I'm going to head to the house. You know where I live. You can send them up there. And as I was leaving, I just pulled out his driveway and was coming around the turn. We watched the law go by. They drove past the fucking house because they're idiots. Um, well, I was leaving and going around the turn. And here they come back up the road on my side of the fucking road. Anyways, I went on to the house. I was like, whatever. They'll fucking come up if they want to talk to me. And they did. They come up later. And I stepped out on the porch and fucking talked to them and dealt with them too. Told them I don't give a fuck about the law. Because they come up there like acting like I was in the wrong right off the bat. Hadn't even talked to me or nothing. Come up there like ready to get on to me. And I told him about the bullshit that I dealt with. I was tired of him being an alcoholic and everything. I said he probably goddamn opened the beer and drank it right in front of you. I said he's proud of this shit. They didn't have nothing to say about that, so they thought they was going to come run over top of me, but they didn't. Why? Because I'm telling you right now, a man of God, I could feel the energy. I knew how much power they had over the situation, and they had very fucking little. Basically none. They'd come up there and give me a warning or talk to me, and that's all they could have fucking done. They could have arrested me or pressed charges, but here's the thing. My dad drove up to my house that morning with a beer in his hand, already drunk or drinking, and he doesn't have a license. So he couldn't have pressed charges on me. Not that he would anyways. He called the law because in the heat of the moment, he lost his mind. Because he acted out of fear. He had no control of the situation. He didn't know what else to do. So that was a bad physical confrontation where a woman stepped in and defended a man that I challenged. Because I broke away from him and the family. I was no longer a part of the family. If I would have been, I can't say that. I am still part of the family. But my stepmother used to do that all the time, actually, in high school. See, this has happened before, but I was never aware of it as much as I am now. I didn't understand it. Me and him would get in arguments and fights and stuff, and she would do nothing but bitch about him and his drinking and talk shit about him behind his back to everybody and how she hates the way he acts and everything. But then when somebody gets in there to try to straighten his ass out, if I would damn argue with him and point out his flaws and his problems and shit, she would step in and defend him. And I've called her a bitch a couple times. She's a two-faced bitch for acting that way. And that's because she's afraid. He's got addictions and stuff, but she loves that. Because that gives her something to bitch about. That gives her purpose and meaning in life. It gives her life meaning. It's like having a little fucking child that she has to take care of and complain and makes people think that, she just makes people pity her and everything. Gives her attention that she wants. Okay? Well. So anyways, we got all that shit out of the way. Now, if you get down to some more sensible debates and stuff with people that I've had where I've noticed this happen. One other time was with a husband and a wife, and then another time was with a father and his daughter. Um, so I went to Maine last year for a couple weeks to work for a guy. He's an incredibly powerful man as far as spiritually. He's a very, very godly man. I mean, to me, I've said it before, he is like the epitome of God in this area where we live. He's been meditating for 30 years. He told me that he became wholesome. I don't know when, but he said he was meditating and he said a mermaid swam into him and suddenly he became healed and wholesome, a wholesome individual. I know what that's like. I experienced enlightenment, and when I connected to God, I experienced wholesomeness. So he is an incredibly powerful man there. Um, and I went up to Maine. He does very high dollar work for wealthy people, not snobby types of people. I mean, good. He's just a very good, wholesome man. He's very straight and honest with his word. He has like 5 kids, 4 or 5 kids. All of them are successful. They're in their 20s and early 30s, and they're all successful. Or early to mid 30s, maybe. No, but his youngest started his own business at 25. I think he's 28 now, and he already has like 3.5 years worth of work lined out for himself. You know, high dollar tile work and stuff. So incredibly skilled and talented people, because that's what God is creative and talented. And um, so I went up and had helped him work on. Owns a couple places up in Maine, and I went up there to help him work on his places, do some work for him for a couple weeks. Why? Because his kids, his sons, have grown up, and none of them. They said that was the first year that none of them went up there with them. So I was kind of like a substitute for his sons. That was also part of my breaking away from the masculine and the fatherly side of life, and becoming my own God. All right. So I had to go up there and challenge him because he is like the head man in this area here. I would say the most powerful man in this area. He has a very unique way of a very powerful influence on people. So he kind of gets what he wants, but it's not because he lies or manipulates anybody. It's quite the opposite. It's because he is so fucking honest and straightforward that most people don't know how to stand up for themselves and speak honestly and straight. Um, so they end up giving in to him, to his spiritual power, influence. Um, and this other guy that I actually had a conversation with, I'll get to in a little bit. He was one of those guys. He worked for him for 6 years, and he told me that it took him 6 years to be able to stand up to Florian. Well, I done it. I had 3 people tell me that Florian could be controlling. He's not controlling. I know that he's not controlling. He's just, like I said, he's so damn honest and straightforward with his language, his speech, that people don't know how to say no to him, because they want to. Most people want to feel accepted, okay, and because of that, they're afraid to say no when they want to say no. They're afraid to speak their own mind and their own feelings. Um, and that makes it hard for people to deal with him. Well, me, I learned that. I used to be one of those people, okay? And I learned. I listened to these other people, and I was like, all right, well, I'm going to have to speak up here. So before I went to Maine, just before I went to Maine, um, he done something that aggravated. He sent me a text message, and the way it was worded was almost as if he expected me to. He asked me to come do something for him. Like, his house is up the road from mine, a mile or two. Um, and he asked me to go up there to help his daughter get some things ready for Maine and everything, get the tile and stuff together. And the way he worded the message was as if he just naturally expected it to happen. Because he did, because that's what he's used to. He's used to people just naturally doing what he asks. Um, and I did. I went up there and done it, but it was aggravating the fuck out of me, buddy. I just had one of those feelings in my gut, and I was like, man, I don't like this. I got to do something about this. I got to stop this right now. And I did. So after I got done, I went down the road, got service, and I called him. And I said, went up, got the tile taken care of and everything. But I said, we need to talk about something. I was like, I said, I'm not your dog. I'm not going to come running when you whistle. Okay. I don't I think I forget exactly how I worded it, but I was like, I don't like the way your message was worded and stuff there. And you know what he said? He was like, oh, okay. He said, if it ever happens again, just let me know. He said, I'll watch that. So nobody has ever brought that to his attention. If anybody would have ever brought that to his attention and stood up for themselves like a man, just be a man, they would have never had any issues with him. Okay? That is what I've noticed about the majority of the damn issues and problems around here and in life. Um, People don't know how to uh, just simply speak their mind, say what they want to say, and be who they are confidently. Everybody is corrupted. They have corruption or evil inside of them, where they're not wholesome individuals. They want somebody else's love and attention and approval. If you want somebody else's attention and approval and shit, buddy, you're going to struggle throughout life. Everything you do is going to revolve around pleasing somebody else. Now, you should know how to be a servant to other people. Florian is a servant. So when he goes and works for these people, if he does something that they don't like, they will nitpick the shit out of him. And he's okay with that because he knows that they're paying him. He's working for them. He is their servant. So he's one of the biggest servants I know. And that's exactly what makes him one of the biggest gods that I know. In order to be godly, you have to know how to serve and you have to serve people. Whatever your gift is, you got to serve it to humanity. Excuse me. And his gifts and his children's gifts are working, building houses and stuff. Very creative houses, not just typical straight line shit. I mean, like creative stuff. So that was a long detour explaining about him. Okay, his power and everything, where he comes from, a little bit. Just a little bit about him, what I know and what I've experienced there with him. So I went to Maine after that. He let me use his truck. Drove his truck. Well, I was hauling. He asked me to haul a bunch of stuff up there with him, which was something that we had originally not talked about. That's what aggravated me and why I called him and was like, hey. So, anyways, we got all the stuff loaded up and everything, and I go up to Maine. And spend 2 weeks with him, helping him do construction. But I can't say every night, but there were a good handful of nights where we would have we would indulge in these spiritual conversations and talks. And holy fuck! Like, dude, that's, y'all don't understand. That shit was powerful, dude. I mean, immensely powerful. Like, I would get into these conversations so much, like it would be a spiritual experience where time disappeared and it was just a complete flow of energy between me and him, and it was like a battle, dude. Literally, it was like well, I'd say like a battle. You could compare it to like two people boxing, fighting in a ring or something. But we wasn't really fighting for the sake of one person beating the other. We was debating for the sake of truth and knowledge to establish ourselves. That's an important thing about being a masculine man. A man has to know who he is. He has to know what's going on. Knowing. That is part of what makes a man, and what makes a godly man a godly man. If you don't know shit, you ain't no godly man. You have to know who you are, what your abilities are, where you stand in life. And that's what that was. You call it a damn dick measuring contest or whatever if you wanted, but that's not really what it is. See, women call it that shit because they don't understand. They don't understand the godly aspects of a man, what makes a man a man. So we challenged each other. Then we had very, very productive conversations. And I very quickly, the whole time I was up there, I was wore out and exhausted. Like it did not take long at all, physically and mentally and emotionally, spiritually. I was drained. But every time we would enter into these conversations, usually at night or in the evenings or something, man, it was just like I had limitless energy, and when it come to that, um, and that's why I do what I do. That's my passion. I love that. That is, to me, that's my purpose in life, is talking and communicating with people, and having debates if that's what I got to do. I love debating and stuff with um, godly people. I don't like debating with little children. I mean, that ain't even right. That ain't even fair, dude. That's like putting a child in the ring with a man. Um, so during one of these, not during that, those were our one-on-one debates. We had one though. There was one where we was talking, and I don't remember if it was in the evening or morning. Maybe the morning. Maybe we just had breakfast or something. I don't remember. We was talking about Trump and Biden and politics and stuff. No, it was an evening. I think after supper, and I was defending Trump. Um, as they was all about Biden and the Democratic side. But he acknowledged some of Biden's faults and stuff, and I acknowledged some of Trump's faults, because we're both sensible, reasonable people, and that look for the truth, try to see the truth in things. We was having a very good debate, and I was talking about how, you know, he has kind of built spiritual walls around himself and his family, and they've not been extremely well connected with a lot of locals around here, because a lot of the fucking locals are damn alcoholics and addicts and have a lot of bad, shitty ways about them. So you can't interact with people who have shitty ways or who hold a bad influence on you, because it will corrupt you. All right. Um, that's why Christ hung out with the disciples instead of the lowly people all the time. He would spend time with them, but not regularly. His regular family that were his disciples, godly people. Um, so Florian has separated himself from the built walls, spiritual walls around himself to protect his family. And I was explaining to him that that's what Trump done in a physical way by trying to put up the wall down at the border. He was trying to keep out other people so that we could heal, so that we could maintain our wholesome um, ways of living, our old America. Now, that didn't happen. We let a whole bunch of fucking people in, and since we did, our country became sick. And now we got to figure out how to integrate all those goddamn people and their belief systems and everything into our country. That's why so many goddamn people, so many Americans and everything, men and women, are suffering and struggling so goddamn bad right now, because we let a major energy, a foreign energy, into our country. People don't understand the effects, the major effects that have, psychological and heart effects, like the energy affects you. And that is a massive amount of foreign energy that we let into our country. And not only foreign energy, but diseased and sick, ill energy. So not healthy and wholesome energy. If it would have been healthy and wholesome, it wouldn't have hurt us. But it was goddamn troubled people that supposedly needed help. So what do? We opened our borders and we allowed them to come in to help them. But in doing so, we hurt ourselves. That's what a lot of people don't understand. We need to goddamn get our own shit together. You can't really, but we was already suffering. We was already suffering and vulnerable, and that's why those people were able to come in, because we had a weak spot, we had an opening, a vulnerability, and they slipped in through that vulnerability. Okay, so it's all right. It's okay. It's gonna fill up, and it's all gonna heal, and we'll become wholesome on a bigger, larger scale now. I'm not worried about it, but I'm just, that's the way it works. That's how it works. Um, so his wife did not like me being standing up for Trump. I was challenging this man, and his wife did not like it. I was challenging his belief systems, and I had very rational and logical um, facts or whatever. I had a very logical, what's the word I'm looking for here? Debate against him. That ain't the word I'm looking for neither. I'm not sure what it is, but y'all understand what I'm talking about now. So his wife lashed out at one point. I mean, she just like, why? You want to know why? Because she was sitting over there listening quietly, and all this stuff I was talking about Trump, it was just building up inside of her, building and building and building. and the frustration and aggravation because she didn't understand it. She didn't like it because it went against her husband and his beliefs and everything, her heart. It went against his heart. She is his heart. Okay. Um, and so that's why she got angry and lashed out instead of him getting angry and lashed out. This man was a man who was completely in his mind, a man of God. They have a very old-fashioned relationship. He's the man, she's the woman, and she speaks her mind freely, but she's quiet. She submits to him completely. Um, Used to. Now, after I went up there and done what I done, it may have changed a little bit, but because I exposed weakness in him, and now she saw that weakness. She'll take advantage of it, I'm sure, a little bit. But he's a very strong man. She's not too much. Okay, so he's very old-fashioned. Um, Kind of like Amish community or something. Is the kind of lifestyle they have. But as far as the man and woman stuff, she was extremely hardworking. But she lashed out. She said, "Oh, Trump hates America," and I said, "No, that's not true." And that's about all I said. I acknowledged her, but then I went back to the conversation with him. Like I was not going to engage in arguing with her. There was a mental conversation. Well, for him, it was a mental conversation. For me, it was my mind and my heart because I am developing my own feminine side. I am wholesome all on my own without a woman. There were once, when the first time I connected to God, I was wholesome on my own without a woman, but then I went and married my ex, and she became my wife, my woman. Okay. So then I was wholesome with her, and she was my heart. And that's why I understand how all this works so well. Now I'm getting back to where I'm becoming wholesome completely on my own. So I am my own mind and my own heart. I have developed my own masculine side, and that allows me to also let out my feminine side. They both go hand in hand. So I'll express my emotions and shit. I'll lose my temper or something, but I say lose my temper. I'll let my temper, my emotions, I'll let my feelings out. But that doesn't mean that I lose my head in the process. Okay, you can express your emotions and feelings and still have a clear mind. All right. That's why something else a lot of people don't understand these days because we're coming from a time where a man or a woman was a man's heart. Man did not let his emotions and stuff out. The mind and the heart were separate. These days, we are uniting the mind and the heart, becoming wholesome individuals, bringing these two things together. Which is one reason it didn't work out between me and my ex because that's old ways of living and stuff. I couldn't bring myself to marry her because my mind told me that in today's world, today's shit, marrying a woman is not very smart. Not only that, my heart was telling me if she loves me, she'll stay with me regardless of whether we're married or not. And that's what I truly believe, 100%. If you love somebody and you want to be with them, you'll just be with them. You don't need a piece of paper. If you need a piece of paper, that's a lie. You don't really love them. You're just trying to lock them down and control them and use them for some reason or another. I don't want no fucking buddy with me if they don't want to be here. And if I don't want you here, I don't want you here. Now, everybody's welcome in my place. Everybody is welcome. Guests and stuff. But I have, as long as you respect me, my authority and stuff. I am a man of God. I have an authority that presides over my territory, and people feel that. They just naturally feel it. That's why I don't have any issues with people anymore because I've established myself. So his wife lashed out at me. So that was the first time that I recognized. Well, was that the first time or second time? That may have been the second time. I'm not sure which one was first. I don't know if my conversation with him was first or the other one. I think the other one was first, actually, with the man and his daughter. I'm pretty sure, pretty certain it was. Let me think. I come back and done martial arts. Maybe not. I really can't remember. I don't know. Anyways, that was one instance where I noticed that. So a woman, I exposed a chink in his armor, and was his belief system and everything that he had taught her and instilled into her, his own heart, was suddenly being challenged. And let me tell you what else was going on in his life at this time. His mother was ill and sick, and I believe she's passed away since then. Okay, so he was experiencing a vulnerable point in his life. He was dealing with his mother and a lot of the stuff that he would talk to her on the phone every day. She would call him several times a day and just repeating the same stuff again and again and again. And so he was dealing with a vulnerable time in his life. His kids were breaking away from him and having their own lives and families. They didn't come up there with him that year. He was dealing with his mother, and then I come in there. So he let in a foreigner, foreign energy into his home because he had a vulnerable spot inside of him, and I come in and filled that vulnerable spot. This is how Christ has been compared to mushrooms and stuff. Well, let me tell you how mushrooms work in the forest with trees. If a tree has a weak spot, a vulnerable spot, an open wound or something, I forget what it's called, the webbing, the root system of mushrooms spreads for miles across the whole forest floor. It pretty much connects like an entire forest. Mushrooms will find that they'll find that vulnerable spot, that vulnerable openness, and they will grow into it. They will seep into it naturally. That's just what they do by nature. I've been that way. I've been that way with so many people, especially elderly people or anybody who's at a vulnerable point in life and they need somebody to fill in an open or empty a void inside of them. Okay, so I have been that person. Many of us have. Um, So this is another reason I understand Christ. I understand shrooms and psychedelics and drugs and how they fill in broken sides of ourselves. They help us to heal, but when you heal, you just think about a mushroom. If you cut a tree down where that mushroom grows into it, the mushroom almost fuses with the tree and becomes one with the tree. Yeah, you cannot separate them. That mushroom and tree will forever have I think, what do they call it, a symbiotic relationship or something. I forget what it's called, something like that. So once something like that happens, it's never undone. So me, I've connected with Florian here. He after he come back from Maine, he stopped in and saw me one time. Me and him have connected, and I have touched his heart. I guarantee I did. I touched his heart, um, that vulnerable spot in his heart, and then that has created an everlasting connection between me and him now. Um, and me and his family. So I run into him there just the other day. Hadn't seen him in a long ass time, and run into him at the Hill and Holler, a very nice place to eat out. And he he oh he bought my lunch. He was coming out, and I was going in and talked to him. He's like, you here to go to work? I was like, no, not today, but I told him I was going to go in there. He's like, you going to get you some ice cream? I said, well, I'm going to see what they got. He said, okay. He said, tell Amy to put it on my tab, you know. And so in a way, it's like he's kind of treating me like a son. Like I said, his sons didn't go up there with him. Um, and there's just this thing that happened up there as well. Somebody stopped by. We stopped to talk to somebody, and they said, "Oh, is this one of your sons? One of your kids? Is this your son?" And I spoke up real quick. I was like, "No." I said, "No. There's been a lot of people throughout life try to claim me as their son because I have. I've got quite a few unofficial throughout life, um, father-in-laws or whatever the hell you want to put on it there." So that was me breaking away from my father. My father has not broke away from me. And when I use father in this sense, I mean the great God Father, the spiritual father. So Florian, he is like a god to me. I mean, he is. So I guess you could say in another sense, he is like a father. I mean, I look up to him and the work that he does and everything, and he's just a great man. But I'm not looking at he's a very bright star. He's a guiding star, but he's not me. I am my own star. I'm my own God. I gotta, find my own way. Um So, he's still, I don't know, I guess. This is unconsciously. I'm sure he doesn't. He doesn't. I don't think he looks at me as one of his children consciously. This is like a subconscious thing that happens inherently because of his energy and my energy, and I just the nature of energy, masculine, feminine, and all this stuff. How life works. All right, how God works. God energy. So the other time that I experienced this with a woman stepping in for feminine energy, stepping in on masculine energy because I challenged um, his belief system was this other man and his daughter. I went caving with them. There's somebody I just met last year, and also I met all these people last year and become close to them or made a connection with them. So we was I think we was also talking about politics up there. We was talking about Trump and Biden. That's a sensitive subject for a lot of people. um, and I was talking about Trump and how I liked his transparency, his honesty, and everything, and how Biden and the Democrats tend to be secretive. They don't. They're not transparent. They don't let their hearts out to people. They like read from a prompt, or they practice what they're going to read and say first, or something. They're reading from script. That's not coming purely from their heart. Trump was a man. Uh, well, he was coming mostly from. I can't say his mind. He's a wholesome man all on his own. As far as I'm concerned, Biden is not wholesome at all. Biden's a puppet. He's controlled by everybody else. That's why he reads what he's told to read or reads that from that script and shit. Okay. Um, but the Democrats, they hide things. They do things behind closed doors and stuff, make business deals, and they're very secretive or quiet about it. You may be able to find it publicly, but it's not announced. Trump announced everything he done because he wanted the people to know the truth. He wanted the people to know what's going on, everything. He didn't want to have any secrecy between the government, supposed to be the head of the land, the authority, and the people. Well, you could reverse that as well. The people are actually supposed to be the authority of the land. The government is just supposed to be representative of the people. Depends on which way you want to look at it. Okay. So we was talking about that, and I was talking about how I liked his honesty and his transparency and everything. She was like, "Well, what does that matter?" She kind of this guy's daughter. I was talking to both of them, and I was sitting right in the middle. So the man's on my right side, his daughter's on my left side, and I'm like right in the middle. Like I got to turn my head back and forth and shit to talk to both of them. I don't like that. That aggravates. It's like I don't like that because that's dividing me. I'm divided. I got one over here, one over here. And and over here, I'm talking to this man. He's a very sensible man. Like you can't read his emotions or nothing. Like his heart is dark to him. His heart is his family. That's his heart is outside of him. It is his family, and he is a godly man. Um, Him and his family had a fight, and they kind of had some issues and stuff. So I believe he is learning to awaken his own heart inside of himself, and his family is now learning to awaken their minds because he's always been the mind, the masculine figure. Um, so she kind of lashed out, and he actually said something. I think he was like, "Hey, no need for that," or whatever. I don't know. He wasn't, he was very calmly went about it. He just kind of calmed the situation down. But after she done that, because I was challenging him and stuff, just challenging them in their household. Their household is their kind of like one unit, one wholesome family, and so um, after that, I didn't even. I pretty much quit. I didn't even really look at her and talk to her. She kind of left the situation, the conversation after that one was between me and him from then on. Um, so this is what the feminine nature does. he was the godly man of the household, provided the protective energy and everything, and the belief system that they all lived by. All right, well, my damn lips are dried out today. That's aggravating. And I challenged that. I exposed weakness in it. Uh, because I come up there and used logic and my rational belief systems, what I knew in life, from my personal experiences and stuff. And I used that and applied it to them and what they knew, what they thought they knew. Um, Now, I don't force myself on other people. I'm not ignorant. I don't, I look for the truth. I always search for the truth in conversation. That's why I love talking to these people. I love talking to that man, and I love talking to Florian. I love talking to both of them because the conversations are so productive. And we move forward because we're both searching for the truth. Okay. It is in a physical sense, men don't like change. We don't like change very much. We don't like women coming in and fucking our environment up and stuff. But in a spiritual sense, women absolutely hate change. They want a man to know, to have a solid belief system and to be set on that belief system. They don't want him to be able to be pushed around or somebody else to come in and beat him out. Because they are the heart. They act out of their heart. Well, the heart doesn't know what to do. It only knows what it's told by the mind. The mind is what knows. The heart is where belief and faith and stuff comes from. Blind faith. Okay, this is where knowing comes from. So when a woman has a man who knows what the fuck's going on, that allows her to move freely and act from the heart. And she doesn't have to use her mind so much. So that allows her to enter into her complete true nature of being a woman. And a man enters into his true nature of being the man, masculine. So the masculine side of life is authoritative and protective and provides security. The feminine side of life is nurturing and loving. It needs that safe environment so that it can nurture and love and provide proper nutrients. So when you have this perfect balance between these two energies, that provides the perfect environment for growth and development. Okay, this is why the Amish community is such a strong community because they provide a very healthy, wholesome environment for their children to grow up in and everything. And the minute that anything toxic or foreign or develops inside of it, like a weed comes up in the garden, they throw it out. That's why they throw their kids out of their communities. If their children go out and choose worldly ways or something that are outside of their belief system, they throw them out because that's like a weed. They're weeding their fucking garden. They understand, well, that's how it is in life. That's just how it is. You call it cruel and fucked up if you want. It is in a way. But at the same time, that's just the way it is. If you're going to have, if you're going to maintain anything, an environment, you got to clear out the weeds and shit. Now, these days, we used to do it physically. We're learning to do it spiritually now. So that really changes the game up. I don't agree with the Amish ways personally because that's Old Testament shit. New Testament is purifying yourself spiritually, meaning that you purify out your hatred for things. So weeds are necessary. Shit, they got a right to be here too. Some of them are actually very, very good for you. They're herbs and stuff. A lot of these things we call weeds aren't even weeds. So there's a balance in there between the two. Hell, I'm a little bit on both sides. The completely natural way of things and trying to use organic fertilizers and stuff. I like all that shit, but I believe that there's a time and a place for chemicals and stuff. That's the difficulty. What we're going through right now in the country is our masculine and feminine sides, Republican and Democrat, and technology and organic shit. Everything is divided into two, and it's clashing and fighting with each other. We're going to have to learn to accept all of it. There's so much shit going on in the fucking country right now. It's not even divided into just two segments. It's, you can say like a goddamn 100 fucking segments, or 1,000, or the book of the Tao Te Ching. That's something I want to get into as well. I want to start talking about the Tao Te Ching. Oh, look at that. Right there it is. It is a very, very old spiritual book of the feminine nature, and it preludes the Bible. Okay. And it talks about how things get broken down into 10,000 fragments and then become transcend into one new whole. Okay. So the Tao Te Ching was kind of wholesome on its own there. It's very feminine or whatever in the beginning. And then the Bible breaks life down into 10,000 fragments. All right. And now we're hitting a point in life where we are transcending back into one new whole. Just like a sperm cell dividing into two and so on until it creates a whole new baby. That is what we're doing with our spiritual belief system in life. That's why the Bible is, it's part of who we are and forever and always will be, Christ and everything. But we are transcending into a new era of spiritual beliefs and stuff. God is transcending to a bigger God than what we ever knew of before. So the feminine nature, it's inherent in it, just like a wolf. A female wolf will protect a male wolf's throat. It's natural for the feminine side to protect the masculine side, the masculine's vulnerability. Now the problem these days, women stop protecting a man's vulnerability and they started poking that son of a bitch. They started jabbing it with a knife. So men are having to learn to develop their own feminine sides to protect their own vulnerabilities. The only way to do that is actually expose it. You have to acknowledge that it's there. You can't hide it and pretend like it doesn't exist. It does. Man, you got vulnerabilities as well. Your heart is your biggest one. That's a man's fucking open wound. And women are having to learn to develop their own protective energies. This is why many of them turn psychotic and fucking crazy, and they'll run over a motherfucker with their car because they don't have physical strength. So they gotta fucking come up with some other type of masculine authority or strength to provide a protected environment for themselves to grow and develop in, to become who they're meant to be, who they need to be or want to be or whatever. So this is why I call myself God. I am God. I'm wholesome all in myself here. I create my protected fucking environment. I can do what the fuck I want to do. Make these videos and say what I want to say in my own territory and shit. Now I know that when I get it, if you go out into the world, you got to mind the authority of other people, of society and stuff. You can't just go out there just doing whatever the fuck you want to do. And really and truly, I can't do whatever the fuck I want. I can do what I want to do here because I have cleansed myself out. The things I want to do are not bad things. Now, a lot of people want to do bad things. I don't care if you're in your own fucking house or where you're at in life. God is always there. So if you're working for evil, God's going to fucking find you and cut you down. If you're wanting to do evil shit in your own house, you think it's okay to do evil in your own house? No, it's not. God will find you. You won't get away with it forever. Okay? God will find you and cut that shit out. Clean it up. Purify it one way or another. So, I don't care where you go. As long as you're not doing evil, you can do what you want to do. As long as what you're doing is, one, it's either innocent pleasure. It's not hurting nobody. If it's not hurting nobody, it's not evil. Don't be evil. If it's not out of evil, you goddamn do whatever the hell you want, man. That's about all I got. I don't know. Pretty good deal there. How your feminine and masculine energies work and things going on in the country and debates I've had with people in person. This is kind of privately in the dark, these debates I've had with them face to face. I would love to find some people and make videos or something. Have debates with people publicly. I would love to get into that. I like it, man. I fucking like it. It's a good time. Uh, all right. Moment of silence there. Gotta do that little moment of silence. I like that. I like the silence. It's good. There's never really true silence. You quieten yourself down, and you can hear everything else that's going on in the world. Uh, See things, feel things. Just be presently in touch with the moment. Um, that's it. Right over an hour here. I think I need to do some research, figure out how to start podcasts. I think I might try to start some damn podcasts. So, I love y'all. Take care. Be good. See you next time.